Welcome Gemini to your in-depth monthly horoscope for October 2023 for the Sun or the Ascendant. I'm going to give you some standout details to look out for, but please stay with me. I will explore in much greater depth all the ins and outs, particularly relevant to your sign. Now on the 5th of October, Mercury is going to be moving from its long occupation in your 4th house, which began at the end of July. If things have felt a little bit stuck around where you live or how you live there, things can definitely speed up. But also in week 2, Mercury is going to align with the Sun, and that conjunction becomes exact on the 20th in a cazimi. This is a superior cazimi, so really exciting for you in terms of the more social dimension of your situation. But on the 22nd, Mercury then gets deep in the sign of Scorpio, and in the last week of this month is going to be forging a very compelling conjunction with Mars, and that becomes exact on the 29th. So can't wait to share all that with you. Of course, we also have 2 eclipses, so please stay with me for more. I'd just like to share a very exciting opportunity with you. If you order your year 2024 personal horoscope forecast now, based on your personal birth data, I'll prepare for you the rest of year 2023 free of charge. Plus, in my special 30% off package, you can get your character analysis report, your life roadmap. This will give you searing insights into the patterns that have played out in your life so far, but give you a much more intimate understanding of how to make the most of these. Please see beneath this video for more. And finally, if you've yet to watch your year 2024 zodiac forecast, please see the link below where you can do so for free. So Gemini, as you enter October, so the Sun and also Mars are in your sister air sign of Libra. This is going to give you an awesome opportunity to showcase your talents, your flair, your creativity, but also to have fun. It's just that Pluto, a very psychological influence in house 8, despite ending a retrograde on the 11th, which began on the 1st of May, is in a very complex set of angles. First up, from the 3rd to the 12th with Mars, but then it's going to go on to inhibit the energies of both the Sun and Mercury later in the month. But I'll tell you more about that shortly. The other thing to say at the very start of this month is on the 3rd, Black Moon Lilith moves out of the bubbly 3rd house and into the more reflective, emotional 4th. Now, of course, this can be to do with our deepest desires, sometimes our lusting for those hidden fruits. So the 4th house suggests there may be part of you, particularly in the sign of Virgo, that does get a more homey desire. So if you're someone who's been very much a free spirit, perhaps that's going to be something that could be a surprise to you over the next 9 months, that you may yearn for something that's more settled and more nurturing. But on the 5th, your ruler, Mercury, also moves, but this time into the sign of Libra. But if you recall from the end of July, Mercury's been making its way through the 4th house of your situation, including 2 shadow periods and the retrograde. So I feel that where you live or how you live there has caused quite a lot of frustration during that period of time. I think Mercury moving into your 5th house can bring out Mercury's more playful and perhaps humorous side, and you may find yourself feeling much more bubbly and outgoing at this point. Ironically, however, on the 9th, Venus is going to be moving to replace Mercury in the sign of Virgo, but not before it forges a delicious link to Mars in the first week of this month. Venus is obviously very much about relating, but it can be about money and self-worth. And Mars in the 5th house has given you an extra dimension when it comes to feeling good about your personal attractiveness. So when we put the words of Venus in direct motion in Leo, which is very charismatic, with the passion of Mars, some kind of date could be set up at the start of this month, or it could see you connecting better with someone you already know. Equally, you could be attracted to someone you don't actually like. Why would that be? Well, Mars is square with Pluto from the 3rd to the 12th, can see the more compulsive side of your nature come to the fore. So if there is someone who really makes your pulse race, a more carnal part of your nature could be activated by that particular right angle. Conversely, in an existing relationship, if you feel that you're not given enough space to breathe, or you feel someone's being rather controlling, then the politics, the jealousy, the possession and that control may be something that will need to be targeted this month as it goes on. But of course, Venus itself has been in a long occupation of Leo since June the 5th, and like Mercury, has gone through a big retrograde. So that 4-month period has probably seen some of the way you express yourself challenged at times, but also giving you an opportunity to really cast your spell over someone who's been absolutely intrigued, not just by your ideas, but your mode of delivering them. So interesting, Venus moves in a technical sense into a sign that she doesn't thrive quite as well in, and she's immediately affronted by the more restrictive energies of Saturn. Something to do with a property matter could get a bit stuck at this point, or if you're trying to hire in some help to do a job for you, you may find that you need to be very guarded about who you select. Their reliability may not be 100% good, or it's possible that someone within your family or someone close to you may in some ways have a comment or judgment to make around your love life, or even your approach to money, that you could find is rather intrusive and actually not appropriate. But then on the 12th, Mars bustles its way into the second of the 2 zodiac signs it governs, of Scorpio, which of course is very much about desire. But for you, this is house 6. Think of the things that you desire and use the more productive energies of Mars in house 6 to get busy working towards them. Now that could be reorganizing your home in some kind of way. Maybe it is to do with shared finances, or some of your choices in terms of where you keep your money, and whether you could perhaps squeeze a little bit more out of your resources. But the 14th sees that glorious solar eclipse, a new series in the sign of Libra and Aries, and this first one in Libra is accentuating that possibility for you to shine much more brightly. Do you know, when we do encounter people who don't get us, there can be a tendency to withdraw a little bit. What you should be determined to do over the next 6 months is turn the brightness up and the radiance up even more, because this can be incredibly powerful for you. It is true that it forges an obtuse angle with Uranus, which has been causing some mischief. If you're one of those Geminis who likes to live in your mind and is a bit resistant to embracing some of your more vulnerable strands, but if you're someone who's very whole in your approach, I think you can overcome the influence of Uranus. If you're someone who's wanting to, for example, move forwards in a romantic context, but there may be some elements from your past that are not quite as clear in terms of how you understand how they may be influencing you now, that may be something you do need to look at over the next 6 months. Now in week 2, we have that Cazimi. It's on the 20th. It's a superior Cazimi because the position of Mercury is on the other side of the Sun. It's not retrograde anymore. And this gives you an opportunity to really dazzle people with your quick wits, your creativity and flair in a very effective way. But ironically, from the 19th to the 21st, Mercury goes into that right angle with Pluto that Mars went through. You could encounter someone who's very trenchant in their viewpoints. This could be someone who doesn't really have much respect for where you're coming from. This is a very dogmatic character, or perhaps you could be tempted to be a bit more forceful about the expression of your ideas. But on the 22nd, Mercury joins with Mars in the deep Scorpio. But for you, this is an opportunity to take some of the ideas that you've been developing more recently and to bind them into something that's much more workable and gives you a tangible return. The 23rd sees the Sun catch up with Mercury and Mars and moves into Scorpio too. So the end of this month is very pragmatic for you because it's house 6, but hosted in the passionate Scorpio suggests that you will find yourself perhaps being a bit more focused, perhaps almost obsessively on some particular strands that you want to work with. If you are someone who's very much into getting fitter, eating more carefully, analysing the nutrients that you're consuming, perhaps looking at the packages of food, this is going to be something that really grips you. But of course, the 6th house can also be about jobs. Are you satisfied in your particular role? With the Sun also clashing with Pluto from the 17th to the 23rd, if it is a case that you're not getting the plaudits nor the financial rewards you really do feel are due to you, that could see you thinking about trying to find a different role. And because Mercury is in an opposition, and that really is a big part, along with Mercury's opposition to Mars at the end of this month, it brings a lot of liveliness to both the 12th and 6th houses. Obviously Jupiter in 12th, and also we have Mercury in a conjunction with Mars in 6. So I think you will have cause to be really quite optimistic about what some of your prospects could be. But the full moon, which occurs on the 28th, is of course a lunar eclipse, and that is embracing that opposition between Mercury and Jupiter. Some knowledge may come into your possession as this month draws to a close that could help you to look at a situation in a quite radically different way. But actually, I feel that even if to begin with it's a bit of a shock, I feel it can help you a lot over the following 6 months. So essentially the combination of the two eclipses for you to take from this month is you need to really feel that you're being naturally true to your unique personality through the solar eclipse, but the lunar eclipse is asking you to be aware or be conscious of how you can take your talents but make them work for you in a way which will receive the appreciation and recognition of others. And I think it's possible that a more psychological dimension at the end of this month could be quite surprising. For example, someone may say to you, look, I see where you're coming from, this is brilliant, but I feel that you're manifesting this energy, which you may not recognize at all. But although that can be a bit alarming, it can also give you a lot of insights into how other people may view you. So a very psychological end to this month, potentially, but one when a lot more information can come into your possession. But what is true too is that because Mercury comes into an exact conjunction with Mars on the 29th, if there is something you need to arrow in on and really be very pointed in understanding, whether it's some information you need to disseminate or share, or a change you want to make in the physical part of your world, you can cut through with a tremendous amount of clarity, which could surprise people at how seriously you're taking your talents and how determined you are to be very self-disciplined about the detailing, about how you can make whatever it is that's important to you really come to life as this month draws to a close. Don't forget, you can watch your in-depth year 2024 horoscope video underneath this video. But for now, thank you so much for joining me. Good luck. Please stay well and like, comment, subscribe or share.